2 days online workshop on universal human values hosted by the Department of Humanities and Applied Sciences and MMS in association with IQAC. It is a great pleasure. I introduce the guest of the day, Prabhu Gaurang Das ji. He is a BTech graduate from IIT Bombay and is serving in various capacities at national and global level in ISKCON organization. He is the Global Duty Officer for ISKCON Governing Body Commission GBC, Trustee of ISKCON GBC College, member of the GBC Organization Development Committee and GBC Nomination Committee, Divisional Director of Devotee Care and Nomination Devotee Care and Temple Development, Systems and Administration Department of ISKCON Temple Worldwide. He is the Director of Govardhan Eco Village, a United Nations World Tourism Organization, award-winning eco-village community and a co-president of ISKCON Chowpatty Temple. He is also serving as a trustee and administrative director for Bhaktivedanta Research Center, BRC, Kolkata. He is an inspirational speaker for his by his expertise of presenting Vedic knowledge in contemporary and enticing way. He is making spirituality accessible to all. He has represented ISKCON as a speaker in the various conferences and has given more than 10,000 discourses in last 2 decades on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, amongst other scriptures. A very heartfelt welcome to Prabhuji, and the topic of his discourse is universal human values. Over to Prabhuji. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, honorable organizers of this event, and I'm very glad to be with all of you this afternoon. I would like to share something about universal human values as represented in our ancient tradition. I'll begin by describing about a very interesting experiment which was conducted by Harvard many years ago, and Harvard was trying to understand what is the basic principle of happiness, and they really did a lot of survey and trying to understand and find out what makes people happy. So this was one of the longest longest research work done by Harvard, where several generations of people were tracked, and various kinds of parameters were kept in front of them, and then finally it was understood based on all of those research works that that which keeps people the happiest is good relationships, period. So they had two types of people, one coming from lower middle class background, one from higher backgrounds. Both went to different schools, different colleges. There were people who were very wealthy, and then people who had a very poverty-stricken life. But in spite of all of that, ultimately they come to the conclusion that irrespective of economic status, irrespective of social status, irrespective of what you gain and lose, in the long run, there are three principles of relationships. One, those who have good, close, comfortable, and extremely empathetic relationships, they remain happiest. Number two, those with congenial relationships also tend to live longer. And number three, those with congenial relationships ultimately also have further health as far as their intelligence is concerned, and they manage to postpone the onset of diseases like Parkinson's, dementia. So the question is that how do we create such relationships in a sustainable manner? So human values are those tools which help each one of us establish, create strong bonding and relationships. And this strong bonding and relationships becomes the ultimate glue which actually helps people fulfill their purpose. So all of us need to lead a purpose-driven life. That purpose can only be accomplished when we have people surrounding us with whom we have tangible relationships. But we can only have tangible relationships with people and not land up in conflicts and misunderstanding with people when our life is driven by the four principles of human value. So, what are the four principles of human value? First is integrity. Integrity is represented by Lord Ram. In the Ramayana, we find that Lord Ram is the king of Ayodhya, and one day before he is going to be coronated as the king, he is asked to go to the forest by his father. And at that time, Dasharath Maharaj was just following Kaikeyi. So practically the whole of kingdom thought that Lord Ram will reject it. But Lord Ram very blissfully embraced this order and decided to go to the forest. Dasharath was telling him, don't accept this, don't accept this. Lord Ram said, this is an instruction, this is an order, and I have to show the value of keeping my word, obedience. If I am not obedient, then how can I teach the world the lessons of obedience? And therefore integrity was very high in the list of Lord Ram, and therefore Lord Ram represents Dharma. So Lord Ram decides to go to the forest. And then even in the forest, when there were occasions where Lord Ram's integrity was questioned, especially after the Sita episode, and then Lord Ram himself made sure that all of those questions are properly answered. And although he is the supreme and he did not have to do those things, but still he wanted to establish the highest standards of integrity which a leader is supposed to follow. The difference between honesty and integrity is honesty is to speak what you have done, and integrity is to do as you have spoken. So Lord Ram represents the very noble and important value of integrity. Honorable President of India and Bharat Ratna, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam ji, he recounts one such incident where ISRO was headed at that time by Dr. Satish Dhawan, and this was 1979, and Dr. Kalam was in charge of leading the launch of a satellite, and then they tried their level best to make it happen, but somehow that particular mission failed, and right in front of their eyes they saw the missile land back into the ocean. This was a very big tragedy, and the whole press was waiting. Satish Dhawan, he knew that Dr. Abdul Kalam was leading this, but he told him, you don't go in front of the press. Dr. Dhawan went in front of the press, faced the press, and explained to them that this was a mission which was not successful, but very soon they'll rework and make it successful. Within a few months, when the launch was held again, this time the launch was successful and the satellite went into orbit, and Dr. Dhawan came in and told Dr. Abdul Kalam, congratulations, the launch is successful, the press is waiting, you please go and give the press interview. So this was a major lesson in integrity for Dr. Kalam, because he saw that here is a leader who is willing to share the credit with others and take the blame on oneself to protect the team. So therefore, one of the most important human values is integrity, represented by Lord Ram. Second, Sarvapriyakarastasya Ramasya Sharirata Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna Bahirprana Ivappara. Lakshman represents what is known as service attitude, the second important human value. Lakshman considered Lord Ram to be like his external life breath, and he completely connected with Lord Ram at every moment. He just wanted to serve and be a servant of Lord Ram. And therefore, for him, the greatest prosperity and the greatest wealth which Lakshman had was the opportunity to serve Lord Ram. And therefore, the word Lakshman comes from the Sanskrit word Lakshmi. Lakshmi means wealth. Lakshmi means dhan. Lakshmi means prosperity. So, Lakshman considered the opportunity to serve Lord Ram to be his greatest prosperity. Any moment, every moment he got to serve Lord Ram, he considered to be an opportunity to cherish. That is the greatest wealth. And therefore, this was the wealth which he was holding close to his heart. And he was doing his level best to make sure that this wealth will be properly utilized. Therefore, many people think wealth is what we earn and store in our bank balance. Yes, that is one kind of wealth, but the real Lakshmi is what Lakshman had. Lakshmano, Lakshmi Sampanna, Bahirprana Ivappara. He was Lakshmi Sampanna. And because he was Lakshmi Sampanna, he had his entire focus on serving and pleasing Lord Ram to the best of his ability, going through difficult situations. Bhavagyena, Dharmagyena, Kritagyena cha Lakshmana. He had the conscience, he had the character, and he had the competence of an ideal servant. And therefore, even in the forest, before even Lord Ram could tell him, Lakshman created beautiful huts with the right kind of rooms, and especially a room for Sita and Ram to be together in privacy. Even though Ram did not specifically, explicitly mention it, but Lakshman understood the heart of Lord Ram and did what he could to please him and serve him, and himself stood outside on guard without sleeping, without having even one moment of rest for 14 years. And therefore, Lakshman embodies and represents this quality of service attitude, which is very, very important. In fact, service attitude also means that when your services are not recognized, or when your services are many times neglected, or you are actually insulted, still you continue serving. Just like when Ram was sent by Sita to chase behind the golden deer, and then the Marich was killed by Lord Ram, and while dying, Marich cried out, "Hey Sita, hey Lakshman." Sita Devi thought that it is the sound of Lord Ram and told Lakshman, "You must go and protect Lord Ram." Lakshman said, "It is the sound of a demon, it's not Ram." Sita Devi looked at Lakshman and said, "I know why you don't want to go. You want Ram to die so that you can enjoy with me. That is the only intention for you to come to the forest." This was such a piercing blow into the heart of Lakshman. Any ordinary person would have instantly given up their service, but Lakshman instead put a Lakshman Rekha and then went in pursuance of Lord Ram, although he did not want to do that, but because he was so much bewildered by Sita Devi's chastisement. But he continued, he was hurt, but he continued his service. And therefore, Lakshman represents service attitude. The third is Bharata, Bharavahi iti Bharata. Kaikeyi was responsible for the curse given to Lord Ram to go to the forest via Dasharath Maharaj. But at that time, when Kaikeyi was making this conspiracy, Bharat Maharaj was not there. He had gone to his uncle's house. So therefore, the entire conspiracy was hatched and executed in the absence of Bharata. But because Bharata is the beneficiary of this curse given to Lord Ram to go to the forest, therefore, because of the context, the circumstances, all the Ayodhyavasis, Kaushalya Devi, and the other citizens, including Guha and Bharadwaj Rishi, they all thought Bharat is responsible. When Bharat went to put fire to the last rites of his father, Dasharath Maharaj, Vasishtha Rishi caught hold of his hand and said, "You are not allowed to light the funeral pyre of your father, because while dying your father told me explicitly that Bharat is party to this crime along with Kaikeyi. He is a sinful person and he is my enemy. He should not be allowed to touch my dead body." Just imagine what Bharat must have gone through just to hear his most beloved father having left his body, having such negativity towards him. And there is no way at this particular point that Bharat Maharaj can clarify the matter also, because the person who has the misunderstanding has already departed. So in this situation, Bharat Maharaj is misunderstood by everyone, but he does not give up his seva to Lord Ram. He goes to the Chitrakoot and Lord Ram gives him the Paduka, and Bharat Maharaj brings the Paduka back and keeps it on the throne in Nandigram, and he is simply trying to administer the kingdom as a servant of Lord Ram. And therefore, Bharat Maharaj represents one who can tolerate heavy load of misunderstanding, heavy load of accusations, heavy load of being considered disloyal and still continue on serving and taking heavy responsibilities like administration of the kingdom. So therefore, Bharavahi iti Bharata. Bharat Maharaj represents that personality who does not give up serving when the going gets difficult, when the people you are trying to serve start accusing you of various things. And therefore, Bharat Maharaj represents the third principle required in maintaining deep relationships. The third human value is tolerance, represented by Bharata. Now, the fourth human value which I want to share and discuss with you is represented by Shatrughna. Shatrughna Nitya Shatrughna Nitah Priti Puraskrata. So Shatrughna was picked up by Bharat Maharaj and taken along with him. And Bharat would not wait for Shatrughna to respond because he knew that Shatrughna was 100% in sync within his heart with the heart of Bharat Maharaj. The whole of Ayodhya was chastising Bharat. The whole of Ayodhya was misunderstanding Bharat. The whole of Ayodhya was rejecting to serve Bharat, but Shatrughna continued serving Bharat in all the circumstances. So Lakshman served Bhagavan, Shatrughna served Bhagavat. Bhagavan is usually beyond any suspicion and beyond analysis. But a devotee, Bhagavata, like Bharata, was always under the scanner. And so when we are serving someone, we don't want that we be accused of doing something because of our association. But Shatrughna had no such qualms. He was openly and very clearly and solidly supporting and serving Bharat Maharaj as a loyal servant. And so Shatrughna represents Kama. Bharat Maharaj represents Moksha. So Lakshman represents Artha, Ram represents Dharma. So when Dharma and Artha are together and Kama and Moksha are together, then society will run based on these human values excellently. So why Shatrughna is called Shatrughna? That Shatru refers to false ego. And therefore, as long as we have false ego, anytime that false ego can become an enemy which will not allow us to serve to the best of our capacity. The false ego becomes a huge hindrance in our service attitude. And therefore, Shatrughna means one who has conquered over the false ego profusely and perfectly. And therefore, we want this false ego to be a total, obliteration happening, and we want this false ego to be destroyed totally. And that is the very, very important element which we are looking at in the character of Shatrughna. Shatrughna, Nitya Shatrughna, Nitaha Priti Puraskrita. And that's exactly the point which, here the Ramayana is trying to make. So therefore, the important point is that all of our different thought processes within our heart, they are all part of facility and opportunities by which we can transform ourselves. And unless we learn to transform ourselves, we will actually not be able to perform our duties and our services to the best of our abilities. And therefore, it's extremely important that we, as those who are trying to aspire to increase and improve our service towards others, understand the importance and the value of conquering over all of these lower values and creating and establishing integrity, tolerance, service attitude, and overcoming and conquering our false ego. Unless we do this, unless we develop these human values, we will not be experiencing real joy, real happiness. And unless we experience that joy and happiness ourselves, we will not be able to share that happiness and joy with others. So I thank you all very much for giving me an opportunity to share a few words. And if there are any questions, I am happy to share.
So it is my request to all my dear participants, because Prabhuji wanted to keep an open interactive session for 15 minutes with all of you. So those are present on MS Teams, so they can ask anything, any
Yes.
doubt, because in this pandemic, we people are also facing lot of emotional, you can say, ups and downs. So कहीं ना कहीं जीवन पर इन चीजों का बहुत असर होता है ना. सो टुडे वी आर ब्लेस्ड टू हैविंग दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी. सो यू ऑल आर रिक्वेस्टेड टू से एनीथिंग एंड एनी क्लैरिफिकेशन ऑफ योर डाउट.
So, my name is Sahil Sawan. I would like to ask you how to find enlightenment when you have a lot of distractions around you. Right now, in our generation, we have a lot of distractions around us. The first being our phone, actually. And the thing is, I have started. I can say I have started my spiritual journey by starting to meditate or starting to read books which can inculcate some good habits in me. So, how should I find enlightenment in a world of distractions, basically?
Yeah, so this is a very, very excellent question. And basically, the whole concept of modern life is all based on trying to titillate the mind and the senses more and more. So, therefore, I would suggest that first of all, we have to understand that over the last 5 years, Microsoft Corporation has come with a report, and they have said that over the last 4 to 5 years, the distraction levels have gone to such an extent that we have actually seen a level of almost from 12 seconds, the distraction levels has come to almost 8 seconds. So, the attention span has come down to 8 seconds. The world population has increased from 1 billion in 1800 now to 7.7 billion in 2019. And it took almost 7 centuries for the population to double from 0.25 billion in 800 AD to 0.5 billion in 1550 AD. But the fastest doubling of population has happened between 1950 and 1987, from 2.5 billion to 5 billion in only 37 years. And by 2056, we'll hit 10 billion population. And as you have rightly said, that the population which is affected by distractions, it is more difficult to handle. That number of internet users has grown from 413 million in year 2000 to almost 4.62 billion in 2020. Almost 40% of the world population has internet access, but the internet addiction rate is almost 6%, and almost 420 million people are addicted to internet all over the world. And the biggest challenge is that not everything on the internet is very healthy. 12% of the websites are pornographic content, and translates into 2.3 billion pornographic web pages in 2018. And the percentage of pornographic consumers below the age of 24 is 31% globally, but very, very worrying that in India, the pornographic users under the age of 24 is 48%. So every single second, almost 30,000 users globally are watching pornographic content on the net and spending almost $3,000 every second. And every single day, 2.5 billion emails containing pornography are sent or received. Almost 68 million search inquiries related to pornography are released on the net, and the internet porn industry is worth almost $13 billion worldwide. So the average internet user will be spending almost 5 years and 4 months of a lifetime on social media networks, ranging from 2.5 hours to 9 hours. And distraction causes American business almost $650 billion of loss. And 64% of all accidents in America happen as a result of distraction. So therefore, you have to overcome this distraction by meditation, and the whole idea of
Yeah,
is to remain focused. Can you help me mute?
मायक्रोसॉफ्ट गुगलचं ते गुगल मीट पण यूज करतात.
Hello, please mute yourself, please.
गुगल
Boy, please mute yourself.
Maybe the administrator can mute them.
Deepak sir, please check at your end. Deepak Kabali sir, please check at your end.
So also I had a question. We
Yes,
see a lot
Bachchan.
of advertisement. Stop, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can ask Bachchi.
So we
Yes. Next question.
Omkar, I think you're not audible.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can
Yes,
hear
sir,
you.
we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, but you can,
We can
mute.
hear you.
You can mute other participants so that only one who is supposed to ask questions should be unmuted.
Omkar, you are not able to speak. Do one thing. Omkar, immediately write your question on chat. We will convey. Neha or Swati ma'am, convey to sir. Omkar, you can write your question on chat. Otherwise, we are also welcoming other questions. So
Yeah.
there is one question from
Please.
one of our students. So
Yeah.
all these data and statistics means to give up worldly duties and
No, it does not mean giving up worldly duties. It means learning how to do things responsibly. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna wanted to give up his duty of fighting and going to the forest. But Krishna said, no, you are a fighter, you are a warrior, you have to fight for the right cause. Duryodhana was also fighting. Duryodhana is one who is fighting for the wrong cause. So therefore nobody names their son Duryodhana. Why? He was a fighter, good administrator. He was popular amongst his kingdom. Why nobody keeps anybody's name Duryodhana? Because he was fighting for the wrong cause. Therefore, the whole idea of human values is to choose the right intentions with which to align your action, because discipline is the fusion between action and intention. That's the main point. Next.
Sir, there is
Prabhuji,
one
I
question
have
on
a question.
YouTube.
Yeah.
What is the significance of saffron? Why do monks mostly only wear saffron?
Yeah, please ask.
I said there is one question on YouTube. What is the significance of saffron? Why do monks mostly only wear saffron?
Yeah, saffron represents fire. Fire means that which can purify everything which is offered into it. So therefore, the transcendental knowledge represents the fire which burns all the impurities and creates purity, and it creates illumination and light. So therefore, fire has two characteristics. It gives heat, it gives light. Through its heats, it burns. Through its light, it destroys darkness. So the transcendental knowledge is considered to be just like fire, because it burns all our impurities and sinful tendencies, and it gives the illumination of light, of the right way to do things. Therefore, those who are wearing saffron are indicating that they have dedicated their life for the study of spiritual transcendental knowledge, just like anyone with a white coat. Half white coat represents someone who's dedicated life for medicine, or someone in khaki represents someone who's dedicated for the sake of protecting people in the police force. So like that, it is a representation of those who are dedicated to studying transcendental spiritual knowledge. Okay, thank you. Next.
One more question, Prabhuji. I mean, we have got a lot of students sitting out here. How should they build up the tolerance? Because what we see that this coming up generation has got less of tolerance.
Yes.
So what are the steps that they can take to build up, slowly tolerance in their life?
Yes. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matra Sparshas tu Kaunteya Shitoshtaspa Dukkhada Agama Apayano Aniktatam Dikshasva Bharata. So the reason for lack of tolerance is we expect every interaction between our senses and sense objects to be always positive, to be always giving bliss. But senses, when they interact with sense object, 50% of the time they give bliss and 50% of the time they give misery. So sometimes they give joy, sometimes they give misery. So when we expect, that interaction to give misery, then you are better prepared. So therefore you have to modulate and change your expectation, because stress is caused due to the gap between expectation and reality. So therefore you should not think that whatever I see should always be beautiful and attractive. Whatever I taste should always be delicious. Whatever I hear should always be pleasing for my ears and heart. When you start expecting like that, so you are discounting the fact that there is a 50% probability that every interaction can have a negative impact also. So adjust your expectations and be realistic in your expectations. Next.
Yes, sir. There is one question on YouTube. What is predefined in life?
Yes, we have certain things which may be predefined in life. Just like, for example, if you go to the if you decide to take a flight to Kolkata from Mumbai, so you have the free will to purchase the ticket. You have the free will to take the boarding pass. You have the free will to go up to the flight. You have the free will to enter the flight. Once you enter the flight and sit inside the flight and on your seat and fasten your seat belts, when the door of the flight goes on the runway and takes off. After taking off, you cannot have the free will that, oh, I left something behind in my flat in Mumbai. I want to go back now. So then the captain will say, you are already in the flight, continue till we land. And then till you land, you will not have that opportunity. So therefore, this is very, very important that you understand that we have free will and we have destiny, both existing simultaneously. Again, when you land at Kolkata, again, but while in the flight, you still have the free will. You are destined to go to Kolkata, but you have the free will. And you can either start screaming, shouting and throwing tantrums, which will make you liable to be arrested and then produced, to the police when the flight lands. So destiny and free will exist simultaneously all the time. You have to use it properly. Next.
Shelly, ma'am, any more questions are there?
No, ma'am, I'm not able to see any question on YouTube,
Okay.
but many appreciation for Prabhuji. There is one question, Prabhuji, from my side.
Yeah.
Values ka origin, it is from our emotions?
No. The values are embedded basically within our soul. हर आत्मा के अंदर कई ऐसे गुण होते हैं, तितिक्षव, करुणिका, सुहृद सर्वदेहिनाम, अजात शत्रु शांत, साधवो साधुभूषणम. So these are original. जैसे जल के अंदर तरलता है, अग्नि के अंदर उष्णता है, वैसे ही आत्मा के अंदर तितिक्षा, टॉलरेंस, कारुणिका, compassion, सुहृद सर्वदेहिनाम, being friend of all, ajata shatra, not to feel enmity towards others, shanta, peace. These are all natural human values embedded within every soul. So therefore, these are just like, there is fire within the wood. Like that, these qualities are there within the soul. When you rub the chandan, the fragrance comes. When you subject the soul to meditation and spiritual practice, that spiritual practice converts these values into reality, and the fragrance of these values spreads in all directions. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll take your leave.
Yes.
We
Sheila, ma'am.
thank, yes, ma'am. I thank Prabhuji from the bottom of my heart to grace the occasion and for such a wonderful, insightful session. And we all enjoyed listening and learning from you, Prabhuji. This is the second time we are visiting the college, and we are really obliged. And I assure you from the bottom of my heart and from all my students that whatever the valuable guidance that you have provided today, we will be trying to put it into practice. And we look forward for a long association with you, Prabhuji. And definitely it will make our journey a better one. Thank you so much for your time and valuable advice.
Thank you so much.
And we all seek your blessings, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Shri ma'am. Yeah.
Yes.
Over to the next
Sheena ma'am. Yes, Sheena ma'am, the next session we will start at 12:30 according to our schedule. So
Okay.
we all are on Teams. So we are just checking convenience of Pooja ma'am. Or Pooja ma'am ke sath we can do one small testing in message in morning ma'am messaged me. Okay.
Okay,
So the
sure.
formal testing we did yesterday. Fine ma'am. So I'm just calling to ma'am. Okay.
So 12:30 we'll be joining back, ma'am.
Ma'am, yes, you can leave, ma'am. Deepak sir and I will be here. Deepak sir, you are with me now? Okay, fine.
And I strongly feel that the values or the human values that we are trying to bring back in the on the surface, bring back in our lifestyle, in our professional life, in our students' life, is something which can be brought back very strongly with storytelling. Because I always believe and strongly believe that storytelling is a very, very strong medium. Today, I was just listening to the previous session of Gaurang Prabhu, and I tell you, the entire thing that he presented very four very basic cardinal principles of human values. That was integrity, service, tolerance, controlling of false ego. Everything was so seamlessly, so beautifully narrated through story. So stories, human beings, human mind has a liking for stories. So when you, as an educator, try to put these things to stories, it doesn't take you to mark a separate lecture for it, that, oh God, I have 20 lectures and now I need to, I do nothing like that. In your 55 minutes of lecture, in your 1 hour of lecture, just dedicate 5 to 6 minutes connecting a story to what they're doing right now, whether it's engineering, whether it's management, whether it's literature class. You don't need a separate thing, you just need to understand that human values is there in every one of us. It's in your students, it's in you, it's everywhere around, right? So we just need to bring it on the surface. And for just bringing it on the surface, we don't need a arduous 2-3 hours of lecture where, the students is boggled and we are also gone. It's a very introspective thing, where we leave you at a point where you're forced to think about it, where you start reflecting on yourself. So I'll again start here with a story from Chandogya Upanishad. I hope you all are aware of the Upanishad. So one of the famous Upanishad is Chandogya Upanishad. There comes a story of Uddalak and Shvetaketu. So Uddalaka is a very famous sage, and his son is Shvetaketu. Now Shvetaketu is known to be a very, very scholarly person. He was sent, as you know, that earlier we had the Brahmacharya ashram. So Shvetaketu was sent to a Rishi's sage ashram to study and complete his education. Now there's also a question ki maybe Uddalak himself being such a big and such a famous sage, why did he choose to send his child to another ashram? So maybe that is something that we also talk about more in parenting, that it's very difficult to discipline your child on your own, so the teachers are brought into picture. So something like that. But anyways, when Shvetaketu was in his Brahmacharya stage, and when he was doing his education of astrology, astronomy, and science and maths and Veda and Upanishad, everything, then that time there was a very common process, a very common system where the teacher, your teacher would take the most able of the students, the scholarly students, and take them to different places for discourses. तो ये बहुत ही कॉमन सी सिचुएशन थी, बहुत commonly found situation था, where you would see that lot of people, the teachers, would take their subjects, the best ones, to various kings. It was a very common thing where kings would put sessions for discourses, जहाँ scholarly discourses होते थे. अलग-अलग regions scholars would come and they would discuss on various topics. So the teacher would always take Shvetaketu to various discourses, and in most of the discourses, Shvetaketu would emerge as a winner, getting the tag of a scholar. So this word also came to Uddalaka that his son is doing really good. So once the Brahmacharya ashram was over, Uddalaka comes back, Shvetaketu comes back to his father. And in some time, the father realizes that though his son was a scholar, though his son knew everything, most of the things, and it was very difficult to defeat Shvetaketu in any of the debates on most of the topics. But still, Uddalak was anxious. He had anxiety because he observed that Shvetaketu had false ego. He had got that ahankar. He started feeling that he was the best. And Uddalaka, himself being a great sage, understood that ahankar or the false ego will kill you one day. However big you are, it is something that leads to a doom. That's something that leads to a fall. So Uddalaka, tries to put up a question in a different way to Shvetaketu and ask him, Shvetaketu, when your teacher taught you everything, did he tell you about that one thing from where everything comes and where everything goes back? Who is the basis of everything in this world? and who supports everything in this world and the nature of that particular thing. So Shwetaketu very confidently says that mostly nothing like that exists. So now that was very disturbing for Uddalk. One, that you don't know. And the second, what you're trying to say, what I don't know, maybe doesn't exist. Then Uddalk asked him, further questioning him, did you ask your teacher about it? So Uddalk says, mostly maybe my teacher did not know about it. Now this was another blow for Uddalk because he feels that one, the child doesn't know. Secondly, he says that maybe that thing doesn't exist, which I don't know. When I question him more, he says, maybe my teacher did not know. So Uddalk understood that there's some major problem with his attitude, and this is what, despite the fact that you're a very knowledgeable person, if this kind of attitude and false ego comes in, it's just a matter of time that you will fall. So he starts correcting him and he starts putting in the right question. Okay, now you go and ask him. And then he goes and asks his teacher, and then the teacher teaches him something. And then Uddalk also gives him a long discourse about the nature of pure consciousness or God or Brahman or Atman, whatever you would like to say. Now, why I have started this story is that this tells us the importance of human values. The most scholar of the person, Uddalk, who was known as one of the most scholars during his time, where everyone would come to. He was made, many of the time, he was a moderator of a lot of debates, and hardly people would win debates with him. An established scholar. Even he felt that even if his son has all the scholarly knowledge in this world, but if his son doesn't have the humility, if he doesn't have the basic value, human value of humility and humbleness, then all the knowledge is waste. And this is the importance of human values. You might be one of the best technically best graduate. You might be one of the best teachers. You might be one of the best historian. You might be one of the best debater. You might be doing a lot of good in your professional life. But if your knowledge, if your education, if your success doesn't have underpinning of human values, then this success, this happiness is short-lived. And to make it sustainable, we need to do a strong underpinning of human values in our life, in our profession, in our behavior, in our attitude. The other importance, you can see a picture here. There are two kinds of salt, pink and white salt. Pink salt I added because, basically I just wanted salt. Pink I added because there are a lot of health enthusiasts these days. So maybe they would appreciate or associate more with pink salt. So, if you get best of the chefs in this world, best of the cooks in this world, and they make best of the exotic food. But if with the choicest of material, with the most organic items, with handmade masalas, everything spices, but if they forget to add salt, the best of the chef, the most exotic of the food is useless. So the salt is very basic, one of the very cheap items, easily available items, but it has the power to make your exotic food tasteless. It has the power to take the magic from the cook. No cook can do, no chef can do a magic without salt, right? So this is the way salt is important in even in making the exotic of food. Similarly, human values has importance in making your life as special and as exotic as you have dreamt of. Now, what are the benefits? Why you're all hell bent on human values? Why we are talking about it? So, for a modern student, because we have educators, as in the academicians, teachers, as in the students here. So, from both the perspectives, I'll tell you, it is something that helps you with a lot of personality aspects. For example, it gives you collective identity. How? I'll tell you. If you meet someone new, maybe from your 12th standard, you just reached to college. All the people are unknown. How you start making groups? You start making groups based on your values. You will appreciate people who will say, I was not allowed to go out of my house after 9. And then suddenly you'll say, was it there with you also? Even in my family, this value was very strict. This rule was very strict. So this value the family had is also the same value that your friend's family have. You collectively identify. Then someone will tell Sundays going to Gurudwara was compulsory. My parents would just wake us up and they'll force us to take bath and run to Gurudwara, or going to mosque was compulsory, or going to temple on some XYZ day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever was compulsory, or Navratri we had to do this, or Ganpati we had to do this. What happens? You connect with those people. This is a collective identity, right? So this is the importance of values. When your values come on the surface, you start identifying your values with other person's value, and it gives you a collective identity. We are social beings, so we have to identify. We can't stay in isolation. So this is the power of values. It develops global vision. And then we are aware of the knowledge of world problems, values like justice, dignity, equality. Mahatma Gandhi, what he did, he fought for the basic thing of freedom for human beings. Freedom. People have a basic right on freedom. He fought for freedom. So everyone who stood for the value of freedom, everyone who supported, who felt for the value of freedom, came and supported Gandhiji in his struggle, right, to win against Britishers. Similarly, whoever had shared the common value of apartheidism, they all supported Nelson Mandela, right? So what happens? You Aung San Suu Kyi, the freedom fighter from Myanmar. So whoever is supporting her quest for freedom, whoever feels, whoever values that importance of freedom, they all are supporting her, right? So it gives you a global vision. You start understanding about different values. You start cultivating them. You start supporting people with similar value trends. So this is what is the benefit of human values. It gives you collective identity. It gives you global vision. And then social skills. So empathy, communication skills, teamwork, when you're working collectively on certain values. Many people from different countries would support your quest. Many people from different regions. If there was some agriculture, Kisan Andolan children. So all people who feel for not only that you need to be a farmer to support them, all people who understand that agriculture is a basic mainstay of Indian economy and how much 3 times every day we are dependent on our farmers, they would support it. So empathy, communicate. When you start communicating for your values, you start working collaboratively. So these things are developed by getting your human values more and more on the surface. Then critical thinking is something very specific. I'll give you a very good example. In fact, recently, if you would have followed newspaper, Sundarlal Bahuguna passed away. If you know, he was a famous author or the architect, not architect of Chipko Andolan, if you're aware of it. So when they realized he belonged to the Uttarakhand area, when they realized that a lot of trees were incessantly being cut for various modern projects, then they started coming up together. They got a lot of communities together to help them preserve those forests, because they knew if the forests are gone, their land is gone. If their land is gone, their home is gone. And so they knew. They were born and brought up in those areas. They understood the importance of it. And they realized that if we do not control the incessant felling of trees, our economy, our ecology, everything is dead, right? So what he did, values is such a strong thing. He came up, the critical thinking developed out of it. If you know what was Chipko Andolan, people went and hugged. Chipko is chipakna, right? It's a Hindi word. People went and they hugged trees. So one person would hug one tree and they would say, you come and kill us rather than killing the trees. We have adopted the trees. So there was another critical thinking that came out of box thinking that came out. Many of those trees, pine trees were cut, exploited for resins. So what they did, wherever it was cut, the trees were marked and cut, there they would put bandage. So putting bandage was a symbolic that they are human being and you're exploiting them. So all these kind of critical thinking comes when you're deeply associated with some value. And that is the importance of human values. Yeah? Then collaboration. Collaboration is a natural outcome of being associated with values. For example, I'll tell you Kailash Satyarthi. He is a child right activist. He was also, I think, recipient of Nobel Prize. Many countries, many people, many organizations across the globe collaborated with him, right? Because all those people felt very strongly for the rights of the child. They wanted to do away with child labor. So what happens when you're teaching? So when each one teach, when there's so many NGOs and so many ideas that have come to help people, right? Marginalized people. So all those people across the globe or across the country who associate those values, they come and collaborate. So whenever you will see now the strong collaborations, the base is the common values that they share, right? This is the importance of human values, that you have collective identity, global vision. social skills are developed, critical thinking, collaboration. What's the need now? Because my dear students also here present in this session, and they would also feel the same with the faculties. What's the need? We need to have an engineering degree and technical knowledge to get a job and be happy. No, happiness is not about getting a job and getting money. You know that, right? This is a very complex and larger thing where you can be happy with just 10,000 also, and you cannot be happy with crores in your account. So that's a very obvious fact. So why we need to? What's the need to get this human values sessions within the campuses now, within the organization, within the educational organizations? So the need is because the institutes are a small community in itself, right? So as I told you, you all were under the parental guidance till you were in 12th standard. And then after you came out, they have a lot of more freedom. The students have more freedom by the time they're in graduation. School is a different situation. So it's a small community. There you will have a lot of peer influence. You will say, in my house, so we were not allowed to go out after 7. We were not allowed to wake up till late. We had to get up early in the morning. Then you will come and see, oh, there are people who are doing equally good in their life with their marks and academics, but they don't have the same set of values. They partied also, and they were up till late, and they never got up in the morning. They did not do yoga. So this is a stage when you will start redefining values. You will feel that no, maybe I was not right because I did all these things, and I also got the same marks which my friend got. So this is also a time when a lot of ideas and a lot of values will confluence, and it will help. It will force you to redefine your values, and that is why at this stage it's very important that we intervene with the right set of values and understanding of the values and how they are important. Now, if you are associated with values, that is one thing for which you will be distinguished. That's the importance. That's the most distinguishing factor. See, I'll tell you. These days, information is not a big deal. What information you get today, by evening another company will get. Suppose you're in an organization, suppose you have a startup. So whatever information you are getting in the morning, the other company will get in the afternoon, the third company will get by the time it's evening. Any organization, any individual, right? So in this modern age, with all connected with all kind of supercomputers and infrastructures and IT doing wonderful job, there's nothing that other person will not do. It's just a matter of a little bit of time, right? Competence is something that if you have, and you can also get more people on board. Other skills is something that you can always get people to work on technical skills and everything. But so if you can get the best of the people on technical skills, your rival company can get, your rival people can get, your rival startup can get. But the only thing in the modern time which will help you distinguish is, do you have value in your services? If you're a service industry, aapke paas kya value? What value are you giving it? If you're a teacher, what value, apart from giving your sessions, which is a basic technical session which every teacher will give, what distinguishes is the type of value you put in that session, right? So if you are in a position as a student, when you go for your interviews, is there something, define yourself and tell us something about yourself and what was your projects and a few definitions. Uske alawa, what is it that distinguishes you from other? Some value that your employer, that the HR person, the interviewer will see in you. So does he see some value in you? Does he see that he is capable of delivering something different, something valuable? That will be the distinguishing factor. And that's the need of understanding values. So you would see that even the multi-crore companies, the MNCs and the multi-millionaire companies, they're talking about happiness, right? Microsoft does some research on happiness. Google does research on happiness. Why? Because they understand that this is the basic thing, and on this only all the empires can be built. You cannot build a bigger empire without any value, without any human value. It's bound to fall. Right? Another importance is that values are one of the best decision-making tools. I'll give you very simple examples. One for student also. You have to do a project, right? Or you have to do internship. Teachers have said that you have to compulsorily do internship. You don't want to do. What you want to do is two things. One set of students will think कि मुझे certificate लाके teacher को देना है. So you will look for something, some organization which takes some money from you and gives you a certificate, and you don't learn anything. Other person feels कि no, I have to learn things. Certificate तो मिलेगा ही that I have to submit, but I have to learn what happens in this internship. I have to see what extra I can learn. So there are two important values. One and these two values are helping you make a decision whether you want to buy your internship certificate or whether you want to really work, right? So the type of value you want to put in your personal life, in your career, in your profession, in your relationships, that value is a decision-making tool of what choices you will make, right? I want to get married. Now, what do you look for? Some people say, I want to start up, and I would like to go for a person who has a very good, wealth, as in they have a good support, financial support. So my values, what I want to do, is affecting my decisions. Someone says, I want to have a very, casual, I love adventure, and I would like to go for someone who is adventurous so that we can roam around the world and explore the world in the most adventurous way, right? So you will look for something, a similar companion. So what value you're trying to put in your life, what you want to make out of your life, that is something that will help you make your choices and decisions. So values are one of the best decision-making tools, and that is the reason that you should always be aware of the values are there, but the only concern is we have to bring it on your conscious level, the subconscious level, right? So whenever we are going to buy a project or make a project, value is already there. We might not be aware, but it is value that's helping me take that decision, right? So there are two kinds of jobs, right? Someone pays you a lot, but there's no growth attached later on. Somewhere you start with a low, but there is a very huge rise, and then later on you can scale bigger milestones. But what you need right now will help you to take the decision at the current moment. So maybe we are not aware of the values, but please understand that whenever you're making some decisions, whenever you're making choices, taking one option compared to others, there's a value that's guiding us. Now, that the absence of human values will lead to enhanced states of entropy. Now, I agree that 100% orderliness is not good. 100% of orderliness will never lead to out-of-box thinking, but 100% entropy is also not good. Entropy is a state of disruption, the state of confusion, chaos. So, a little bit of confusion, chaos, a little bit of pressure is important for us to perform in the challenging, because, challenging situations leads us to perform. But 100% absence of human values will lead to enhanced state of entropy, and enhanced state of entropy is just not right for the human values or the world to go ahead. So human values needs to control. It's a very nice equilibrium to control the entropy and the orderliness. Values are dynamic, as you know. The values that you'll find in some village where you would have been at the starting of your age, what you found the values in Mumbai, what values, social values will be there in New York or Thailand would be different. Social values are definitely dynamic, but there are certain personal values which have to be very, integrity is something that whether you go to Singapore or you go to Nashik or you go to Nagpur or you go to Delhi, integrity is something that will not change. But yeah, definitely you need to understand the social values are very dynamic, and it will also change. And also it is it is something that changes with respect. How integrity, how my integrity would, otherwise I'm known as a very integral person, but when it comes to a super integral person, my integrity might be less. So values are dynamic, but you need to understand that. And because they're dynamic, they help in bringing the balance between entropy and orderliness. Because, a rigid value system will not bring that balance. So value system is never rigid. And you will see historically, sociologically, any rigid value system has always been questioned and rejected. So it has a flexibility. And because it has flexibility, it can balance entropy between entropy and orderliness, because in every other society, the level of entropy is also different. The level of orderliness expected is different, right? Another importance of values is that it is a driving force of our emotions. It is a driving force of our perceptions and vice versa. I'll tell you a very simple example, that I perceive someone as my competitor, unhealthy competitor, right? I have a startup, or I'm a student, or I'm working on a project, or I'm a teacher, and I consider someone as my someone not good, not friendly, and a very unhealthy competitor, right? This is my perception about that person. I might be wrong, I might be correct, but this is my perception, right? Now, what happens if that person comes up with some offer, which is actually mutually beneficial for both of us, and this person also came out of his shoes and thought कि चलो lot of unhealthy competitions happen. Let me make a better proposal that we both can develop. But because I have already perceived that person as an unhealthy competitor, as a kind of enmity kind of a relation, I will not trust him at the start, and I will really take lots of time, and every time will come to my mind, is this something that I'm not able to understand? Is there something hidden? So my perceptions and my values are helping me understand, that person. Similarly, emotions. I'll tell you how your values define your emotions. I'll tell you some situations where as a value, I feel that you are not insulted until unless you feel insulted, right? Second person says that if someone insults you, means that he's trying to authorize you, he's trying to dominate you, you should not tolerate, right? And the third one says the moment someone tries to insult you, insult a person back, right? Now, there are three kinds of values people believe in. Now, imagine there's a situation where someone comes and insults me, okay? And I feel that I'm not insulted until unless I feel insulted, and rather the person who has insulted is suffering from some kind of complexity and we should empathize. So I'll be silent and I'll try to empathize with the person. But if my value says that, you should not be insulted, because if someone tries to insult you, means that he's trying to dominate you. So you must counter it reasonably, rationally. So I will immediately try to counter. I'll not ignore, right? And the third type of person feels that if someone is trying to dominate you, trying to insult you, you double insult the person. So these are three different values. But based on these different values that I believe in these three different situations, different emotions are coming up. In one, the emotion is of empathy towards the insulter, a poor guy. Maybe he has some huge pressure in life. That's why he's reacting like that. Ignore him. May God bless him. May God give him peace, right? In the second one, I say, if you're trying to dominate, if you're trying to insult, means you're dominating. I'll try to reason out, right? And the third kind of value says, if you dominate, if you insult, I'll double insult you. So my values are deciding my emotions. So they are the underlying drivers, and that is the reason why we need to introspect and understand our values. And as I said because of these reasons, values are one of the best decision-making tools, and that is the reason we should always be introspecting. We should always be conscious. I think we all need to understand that we already have values. The only thing is that we need to scratch it, bring it to the surface, right? What is the other benefits and the needs? These are some 2-3 things that you must remember. That for any harmonious situation, you need to understand other people's value, right? So value is something that helps us understand the patience, the attitude, the aptitude that we develop because of these values. It helps us to understand other people's view, which is very important in conflict resolution. The classic cases of conflict resolution between countries, between nations, between the warring countries for the boundaries and borderlines, and interstate fight for the rivers, if you would have heard, or even your neighbors fight, even your friends fight. What technique that helps us in resolving the conflict is other person's view. The moment we understand other person's view, the moment we are in their shoes, right, the conflict comes down. So this is the importance of values. Values teaches you how to appreciate other person's view. And the more you appreciate other person's view, the lesser you'll have conflict and the more chances of easy conflict resolution, right? Then when we try to do a lot of value sessions, which you will be doing in college and with educators, academicians must do, is through various social outreach programs. So we learn, these are the other techniques of learning value by doing. We become more explorative. For example, I'll give you a very basic example that most of the colleges these days have adopted villages, have adopted tribal areas, they have adopted some municipal schools, they adopt some slum areas where their students go and transfer their knowledge, they help them with books, they help them with studying and developing some English and maths concept. We also do a lot of donation drives. What does it help? It's an explorative journey. So always feel that when you're doing something for someone, it's not that you're doing a charity on them. You also see it as an explorative learning for yourself. Definitely it's a charity, it's a daan. But it's not just that I did some benefit for the other person. It was also a learning experience for myself. It was also an explorative journey for myself. So this is how, these are the various ways how you develop human values. And this is the benefit, that when you have activities related to these value sessions, it becomes a very explorative journey for yourself. Other benefit is that of these human value sessions is that, or the stories get through, however you conduct the sessions. So is that it teaches you to see value. See, normally as a human being, we are trained to see danger. Danger हमको अचानक दिखता है, आसानी से दिखता है, यहाँ problem होगी. There's a project, there are 2-3 teams working on a project, someone gets a new idea. हम तुरंत उसको reject करते हैं. No, it will be complicated. Let's go the simpler route. Don't put a new thing at this level. So we are innately trained to, as a human being, we are innately trained to see danger. But through these value sessions and value stories and whatever way the skits and programs, whatever these outreach programs, whatever you do for value, what the benefit is that we train ourselves to see values. And you see always those people who have seen values out of certain situations where others are not seeing are most successful entrepreneurs, right? If you see the entrepreneur startup journeys, many times you'll see that this was very basic requirement. This gap existed in the society, but we never saw. We thought, "Arey, ye bahut bada problem hai. Isme kaun padega?" But those people saw values there, and because they saw value, they are running a successful enterprise today. So these value sessions, these explorative sessions, these self-exploratory sessions, the introspection sessions, will train your mind to see values rather than always see danger. Right? Because see, danger is right. When you see danger, you're more prepared. But seeing always danger out of situations where there could be values is just not right for self-growth. Another important benefit of these sessions, the value sessions or human value sessions, are that they expose us to clash of values, right? Conflict between personal values and values of society. Now, you need to understand that values are dynamic, okay? Values will also differ from person to person. So you have to be very, very aware about clash of values. There would be situations where your values will not match with your kids' value. There will be a situation where your values will not match with your students' value. There will be a situation where your family values would not match when you get married, which is a very common phenomenon across the globe. There are situations where your value will not match with your boss or with your organization's value. So you have to, these sessions will help you to understand that in life you will always have situations of clash of values. And how do you understand? How do you choose? There would be situations where personal values are more important than values of society. There would be situations where values of society are of bigger requirement than your personal, and you'll have to surrender it there. There would be places when your personal values are more important and they're more in tune, more safe than the organization. But there would be situations where your organizational values are more important, and there you need to resolve the conflict of your personal and organizational values. So this is the benefit of these sessions, that they help you to understand the clash of values, and you need to understand how you prioritize them, because this is one of the biggest challenge, which when we talk about EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, this is what we talk. If you can't handle two situations, you say, no, this doesn't suit my mental stream. There's nothing fixed. You have to understand. You have to weigh the opportunities. You have to weigh the possibilities. Which is doing larger good? Which is doing smaller good? Which is doing a larger damage? Which is doing a smaller damage? So this will come through a very strong awareness of values, right? Now, this is a very three just important points, because this is also for faculties. So, or any faculty, any coordinator, facilitators who intend to take up the journey of human values sessions with their students. I call it a journey because it's a self-explorative journey for teacher as well as students. Human values is nothing that you go and teach them. We also learn and we also explore in the process. So anyone who takes up this session at the campus, there are three important requirements for them, which we need to understand. And even a student, when you are teaching or when you're discussing values to others, this is what you need to understand. Whenever you are in a facilitator's role, that you need to be value neutral. Now, what is value neutrality? Value neutrality is that, I might have been brought up with a certain set of values with which I strictly associate, right? But I should not be biased when I'm communicating some value or when I'm judging someone, right? For example, I strictly feel that I've been brought up in a very conservative family, and I feel that we should not have non-veg, or we should definitely not have non-veg on Tuesdays. There's a lot of families who will not have on Tuesday and they feel it's a sin. There are many who will just not have it. That's right, absolutely fine. There's a trend in fad of going vegan. But there would be people who have been eating it since their childhood and they don't feel anything bad about it. So you should not base your this personal biasness, okay, I don't have to talk to that person. What will that person listen, when they eat non-veg? See, the eating non-veg should not come in way of communicating or talking about the values. So value neutrality of a person is very important, right? There are a lot of families. If not now, we stay in a very modern time. But if you would have heard a lot of old stories where there were a lot of honor killing. Honor killing, if you've heard, there's a lot of movies also made on it where if a boy and a girl would married from different caste or religion, whatever, there was honor killing. Honor killing was because of the strong wrong value attachment, right? So what we are trying to tell you, okay, this value neutrality for a facilitator is very important. Might be a practitioner of yoga, and I might have understood the value of yoga, but that doesn't mean that person who doesn't do yoga is not fit for my sessions or doesn't understand things about life and philosophy and integrity and empathy. It's not like that. So we need to be value neutral. It's my value, but I should not use that biasness in judging or making someone understand something. So this is a very basic requirement of a facilitator, that you need to be value neutral. You also need to be practitioners of good values. If I see you as compromising on a lot of human values, a lot of integrities, then when you come to my session, I will say, come on, as a teacher, so we have seen you compromising on so many, you've been so biased with certain people, and you have given preference to some, then I will not take it. The credibility of the speaker is very important. Who is speaking and is very important, because when you come, you don't come with only your words, you come with an entire personality. There are already judgments and perceptions about you. So when a facilitator comes to talk about good values, he should himself be an example, live example, a person following right set of human values, right? And the third is that don't consider it as a moral science lecture. Teachers, whoever are facilitators, whoever are going for human value sessions, please understand this is not about do's and don'ts. That you should sleep by 10, you should not watch movie till late, you should not do this, you should not do that, you should not go have affair, and you should rather study, nothing like that. It's not about do's and don'ts. It's not a strict moral science lecture. It's, again, I'm saying that value sessions are a self-explorating sessions. It's a self-reflective sessions where the facilitator has a role of is in a therapy setting, right? You have to have a very therapeutic session where you take the child, you guide the child to various stories or settings, and then at the last you leave them to understand and explore how they fit in there. You don't tell them
Hello, Shelly ma'am.
Yes, Pooja ma'am. Okay. I'm just calling to her.
Yeah, please.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Sheena ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
I informed to Pooja ma'am. She's disconnected. She's trying to join it again. Yes, ma'am joined.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Audible. Audible.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. There's a sudden
Pooja ma'am, I think there is your voice is lagging, ma'am.
Not fine. Not fine, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Your voice is breaking. Breaking, Pooja ma'am.
Wait, just me to disconnect with the analytics. This phone.
Am I audible now?
Pooja ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, I'm so sorry. This weather is really creating a lot of
Ma'am.
issues.
Yes, ma'am. We know these are all technical glitches. Definitely.
Okay, so anyways, I was just coming to an end here. So these were the facilitators' requirement. Please ignore any. Yeah, is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Pooja ma'am. Okay, fine. We are able to see your slides.
Okay. After that, we'll move to very first again. Story Kathopishan, where the characters are Nachiketa, Vajishravas, and Yam. Okay, so I'll go through the story very fast. Where it's a very famous story, where Vajishravas is a very famous sage again, and he is doing some yag to achieve liberation. Now he is himself a paradox, because when you do to achieve liberation or moksha, what you need is desire. You have to desire. But in that one part, gift all your best resources to people, to the sages who have. Is that he started all his cows and
Pooja ma'am. Hello, Pooja ma'am. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Ma'am, I am not audible. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is again breaking, Pooja ma'am. So can we do one thing for a few minutes? Can we play videos? If you are suffering in
please start.
Ma'am, can we start with videos, because your voice is not audible?
Yes, ma'am. Please start with videos, because I'm having network issues here.
No issues, ma'am. As we take the discussions, so tab tak everything will be fine and okay, I hope. So I was just thinking to start videos.
Anyways, it's coming to an end. So one more slide in videos. So better you start with the videos.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Deepak Khabale, sir. So for a time being, we can do one thing. The videos which were prepared by Pooja ma'am, they are also part of human values cell. So we can start with these videos. Then later on we will do discussions. Okay? So you can start with video 1. It is a very small request to all my dear participants. Please listen all videos very carefully, because now we all are related to these videos as well as our culture is also related to all these things. So later on, madam will discuss on these videos. Madam will take one discussion on these videos.
The attitude of gratitude. This often heard saying has its roots deep in the Vedic system of life. This universal value of appreciation is insightfully woven in our social and religious fabric in the form of rin, since it has a significant impact on the mental well-being of an individual and hence society collectively. Minimalism is appreciation and understanding of the basic and essential. And this is how minimalism is taught through the concept of rin. Rin is a feeling of reverence for the necessary and fundamental, leading to the sense of contentment and happiness. The philosophy of rin guides us to feel gratitude not for the material prosperity, but the essentials of our existence in this world. God, who runs this world, ancestors for this life, and the scholarly people who empowered us to lead this life under the light of knowledge. An interesting context appears in Bhagavad Gita, indicating the importance of rin. When Karna was killed on the 17th day of the Kurukshetra war, he reaches heaven. There, he found beautiful apsaras, gems, jewelry, and he receives respect. But no one offers him food and water, which is essential for living. Bewildered, he inquires about this to the Lord of Death. Yama, the Lord of Death, tells him that he doesn't qualify to be given food and water, since he had not repaid Pitri-rin when he was on earth. One must provide food and water to the needy, the animals, and birds in the name of their dead ancestors. And that's how the ancestors are taken care of in heaven. So neither Karna repaid his Pitri-rin nor his children did this for him. So Yama allows Karna to go to the earth, repay his debts to his ancestors, and free himself. Three critical messages are ingrained here. Respect for the ancestors as we owe our existence to them. Secondly, the importance of basic needs, food and water, is irreplaceable by the world's riches. Lastly, the affection and respect towards our ancestors should be repaid by compassion towards fellow human being and the ecology. Taittiriya Samhita mentions about 3 types of rin or debt that every person owes by birth and needs to repay in this life for accomplishing all the 4 ashrams. Devarin, debt to the gods; Pitrarin, debt to your parents; Rishirin, debt to the scholarly people. Later, it is understood that Shatapatha Brahman added 2 more rin to the list. Manushyarin, debt to our fellow human beings, and Bhutarin, debt to flora, fauna, and the ecosystem. Holistically, rin system is designed to propagate minimalism, leading to self-belief that we have access to all that is essential: our parents, scholarly people, ecology, fellow human beings, and divine consciousness. It sharply defines what is essential and what is superficial in life. This explicit distinction of superficial and essential has the power to guide our actions and attachments, which is a cause of suffering.
first video has been run, right? I just saw it. Yes. Okay, so if I'm audible, then I'll just speak and then we'll go for the second video. Okay,
Yes,
sorry,
ma'am.
participants. Yeah, I'm so sorry for this glitch, technical, because of heavy rains. I think we're not able to have control on this. Anyways, so there are a series of 4 videos that we'll be playing now. All the 4 videos have 4 very important human values inherent in the form of stories that have been said, and all these stories is not something that all these concepts is not something that we have made. It has been in our ancient scriptures. It's just that we're trying to bring it on the surface. And at this moment, I will also appreciate the effort of the entire Excelsior Education Society, and especially KC College of Engineering, where we have all tried to come together and right from alongside the engineering and management and the arts and commerce and all other courses, we are trying to run these sessions parallel. So this is an effort that has come straight away from our team. So we are trying to come up with more and more such small short videos on such beautiful value sessions, which students can just have, or even the faculties and facilitators can have a look at, or can listen at their ease. And I will also request the faculties of other colleges that you can very well use these small videos, which has been specially made for our millennial crowd who do not have attention span. As I think the first speaker today said that, the attention span has come from 12 seconds to 8 seconds or something. So considering all that, we have got it in a very small encapsulated form, where we have just tried to put up the idea so that the student is willing to introspect. Now here, what in the first video, what we spoke is the debt. As the moment we are born, we owe to our parents because they have given us birth in this beautiful world, which is being taken care and controlled and run in order way by the God. And the most important thing is the knowledge. The scholarly people who have given us such great information, whether it is your engineering information, about your management information, about language, literature, theatre, arts, whatever you were happy to learn about. This all great information has come through ages through various scholars. So we are working, we lead our life under the shadow of the enlightenment that we get through these education, the empowerment. Education empowers us. So these 3 basic debts, the moment we are born, we owe 3 basic debt or rin, जिसको ऋण कहते हैं, कि पितृ ऋण, देव ऋण, and rishi ऋण. Rishi are the people. Rishi is not that, don't confuse with the mandir ka pujari, which you consider. They were scientific people. They were seers who could understand what is sun and what is moon, what are planets, and what is metallurgy. So we have a lot of what is there in medicine. This all information has come from the seers, the rishis. So these are the 3 rin we own. And then later on it was understood that the 2 more rin we had spoken about, total making it 5. The 4th rin was manushya rin, the rin, the debt that we owe to our fellow human beings, because we cannot exist alone. We are dependent, we coexist, we are social human beings. So in our day-to-day life, हम यहाँ से उठ के कॉलेज जाते हैं, अपने वर्क प्लेस जाते हैं. So it's not that only we go. There's a whole lot of system that's working. The roads, the management, the traffic, the railway, the ambulances if something happens, the doctors, your teachers. So there's a whole system that runs with us. We might feel that we have done it, but there's a system that supports us, and that's the humankind, the rin that we own to our fellow people. And the last and not the least and most important is the rin that we owe to ecology, to the trees and to the plants and the flora and fauna. So these are the 5 rins that our ancient seers in Vedic times have spoken about. And what we call as minimalism today, if you all are aware, the Western concept of minimalism, that we need basic. जो basic चाहिए उसके साथ आप जीवन गुजारें and you'll be happy. So what now in West they call as minimalism is what we had in our RIN system. कि this is the basic. ये 5 चीजें अगर आपके पास हैं, then you are the most happy person on this earth and you do not need more than that. Your parents have given you birth. God is taking care of this world and all your basic orderliness in this world. The fellow human beings are there to be there, to collaborate, to teamwork, to lead a family, to lead all these events. Rishi, the scholarly people have given you knowledge under the light of which you will lead your life, and the flora, fauna, and the entire ecology.
So these are the basic 5 requirements, and if you have everything right at your place, and you know that you owe your existence to them, you will be the most happiest person. After that, once you have knowledge, जब आपके पास ज्ञान है, तो आप कर्म कीजिए, and you keep on doing your work, and you keep on getting whatever you want in life. So it's as simple. But then you cannot rest your happiness on the material prosperity. You have to rest your happiness on this. No one stops you from achieving material prosperity. You must build empires. No one, but do not rest your happiness on those empires. For you to be happy, for you to be self-sufficient, these 5 requirements are basic, and realize it and repay them. Now we'll go to the second video. Deepak sir, can we play the second video? Yes, sir. Thank you.
The death of demon Mahishasur is a classic example of gods collaborating to achieve a challenging task. The story is symbolic of the difficulties of different forms in our life and our inability to overcome them alone. It exemplifies the meaning of the famous proverb, individually we are a drop, together we are an ocean. Mahishasur, the buffalo demon, was graced with a boon from Lord Brahma that he could not be killed by either god, man, or an animal. With this boon as an invincible shield and his power to keep changing his forms, Mahishasur went on to expand his kingdom, and a time came when he wished to capture heaven or Devlok. Knowing the intention of Mahishasur and suffering a recent defeat from Asuras, the Devas were alarmed. They all together approached Tridev, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Mahesh for help. The three Devs realized the loophole in the boon, that Mahishasur could be defeated by a woman. After a series of deliberation among the three Devs, their consort, and other Devas, it was decided that they would contribute their energy to make a powerful woman. Some also believe that Goddess Saraswati, Goddess Lakshmi, and Goddess Parvati together incarnated as Goddess Durga. While collaborating, all parties need to bring their skills, ideas, processes to the table and share it. Similarly, Lord Shiva gave Goddess Durga his Trishul, Lord Vishnu gave Sudarshan Chakra, Lord Brahma bestowed her with Kamandal of holy water. Vajra was gifted by Lord Indra, Lord Agni gave the spear, bow and arrow came from Lord Vayu, Lord Vishwakarma offered his axe and armor, Lord of Mountains gave a lion, and Lord Surya presented her with his blinding rays. With a well-coordinated aligning of resources and skill sets needed for the target, Goddess Durga set out on her lion to kill Mahishasur. After 9 days of a grueling war, the demon was killed and Goddess assumes the title of Mahishasur Mardari, the killer of Mahishasur. The story brings home the point that whenever we are faced with difficulties that keep changing their forms, like Mahishasur, and threaten our existence, then do reach out to people and build ourselves bigger and stronger. Collaboration, teamwork, networking, alliance, even gods needed this.
So now this is the second video. Yeah. So this was the second video where we talked about collaboration, networking, alliance, right? So the whole idea behind this video was to understand that we are limited beings. We are finite people. We have our own limitations, and that should not make us unhappy. Many times you will see that people are unhappy because, I am not able to do this. I somehow, there's some problem. There's something that I'm not able to sort it out. Reach out to people. What this story says, even God, when they had challenging issues in their life, they had to collaborate. They had to come together because one single God was not in position to defeat that demon. Now, take it, it's a metaphor for you. Take that demon, Mahishasur, as one of the biggest problem in your life, the difficult problem. जिसका solution आपको नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. What do you do? Reach out to people. Now, why we don't reach out to people is because, we have the sense of ego. We feel, why should we, someone never came to me, why should I? Doesn't matter. Everyone has their own journey. Someone will approach you maybe 5 years later. You need the help right now. Go ahead, collaborate. You must bring all the powers of various people together to sort out a challenging issue. So what they said, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu never said, why should I collaborate? I'm myself supreme. They did not think so. All the other devas, they never thought. Indra said, nahi, main to apne aap mein devo ka dev hu. Why should I go? But no, what they did is you need to read between the lines. Everything cannot be put in a short story. They left the ego. They never had ego, right? If they had, they left it. And they realized that this problem is big. If we do not collaborate, if we do not have teamwork, if we do not cooperate with each other, this problem will kill us. What's happening in Corona? Now, when we are self-disciplined, what we are doing? We are doing this. If we are not self-disciplined, if we do not break the chain, this virus will kill us, right? So this is how you cooperate. Right now, you're cooperating with the government, you're cooperating with the municipal corporations, whatever they're requesting you, right? So this is what you understand, that you need to cooperate and come together and bring all the skills at one table and then fight the difficult thing. So this is also a reminder of the limitedness we have, and because we are limited, we should not be upset. Everyone is limited, even God's way. This is what they're saying, right? Everyone has a bigger problem in life. Even gods had a bigger problem, which was a challenging problem for them. So whenever there's life, there will be problem. There would be thorns, there would be roses, right? Life is a mixture of it. So you should not become unhappy that I have more problem, they have less problem. Everyone has their own journey. And also you should seek out. This is what even we speak about mental health awareness, right? Move out, talk to people, seek out. People, meeting people, making associations, making team is very therapeutic. Apart from being helpful, it's also very therapeutic. You must reach out to people. You will understand people have different kind of issues. And from someone's problem, you will understand a solution for your problem. Sometimes people are willing to come and help you. You need to seek out. So this is what they said. No one, even gods were not, one god was not capable of fighting with that asur. So they all brought their skills together. Someone gave Kamandal, someone gave Trishul, someone gave Vajra, right? Someone gave the tiger, someone gave the blinding rays, the Surya gave his blinding rays. And then the person was made ready to fight a challenging situation. So move out of your egos, move out of our, understand our limitness, understand our the capacity. We are not infinite beings. We have finite things in our hand. We have our own limitations. Skills will be limited. We'll not have all the skills, right? We need to come and collaborate together and feel happy about it. And this is what is Manushya Rin all about. That when we need, people are there. Humankind is there. People are helping us achieve so many things, right? When you achieve some major, win some major debate or some project you have got, there's a lot of people seamlessly working behind you. You owe your debt to them and move to them, talk to them, seek help. This is what the second video is saying, that we all are limited and finite being, and we should not be unhappy about it, but rather seek and build ourselves strong by collaboration, alliance and teamwork. Yes, we can have the third video now.
what does Akshay Patra hold for people in the modern world? What is the takeaway from this story in this present crisis? The story of Akshay Patra symbolizes expanding our intent to selflessly care about the well-being of others. It's a reminder to awaken our social conscience. If we have the right intent to help others, then the divine power replenishes us with all the resources to carry out the benevolent act. When Pandavas were banished to the forest after losing in the dice game with Duryodhan, they were confronted with the concern of feeding the learned Brahmins who insisted on accompanying them in the forest. On suggestion of their guru, Rishi Dhaumya, Dharmaraj Yudhishthir worshipped Lord Surya as he wanted to expand his ambit of Dan. He prayed to Lord Surya to seek a solution for feeding the learned Brahmins who accompanied him to the jungle. He wanted to also feed other visitors who would keep visiting the Pandavas to seek their advice or meet them. Even in the adverse time of their stay in jungle, Yudhishthir never thought of abandoning the Brahmins or other people, as it was against the values of that time. He never asked for himself, but for others. Pleased by his pursuit, Lord Surya bestowed him with Akshay Patra, which had an inexhaustible supply of food. But it had a condition that once Draupadi had her meal, the Patra would be exhausted for that day, indicating the beautiful philosophy of others before self. The story of Akshay Patra also restores our faith in the fact that while we selflessly ask for others, Lord will take care of our needs. Yudhishthir was not only granted with Akshay Patra, but was also blessed to regain his kingdom at the end of 14th year by Lord Surya. Akshay Patra is the way to repay our Manushya Rin, the debt or rin that we owe to our fellow human beings. Let's make our Akshay Patra inexhaustible with not only food, but each and everything that helps to restore faith in humanity, especially at this time of crisis. Inexhaustible supply of love, compassion, cooperation, right knowledge, and much more.
What the story is again putting a very, see, I'll tell you, all these stories are irrespective of where they were found. Whether you are a practitioner of any other religion, any other belief, it doesn't matter. These are very independent stories about values, and that's the reason we have put it up for anyone who can use it, right? So it is alike for a theist or atheist. Whether you believe in God or do not believe in God, you have to still believe in human values, because this is what you're seeing and you are there with people. So these stories are irrespective of your religious belief or even for an aesthetic, right? So here what we know, see there's certain very strong learnings. Even in the difficult time, when Yudhishthir, a king, is banished to the forest, his concern was that a lot of people are following me. There would be a lot of visitors because he was Dharmraj Yudhishthir, right? So many people came to consult him on various matters of Rajdharm or social justice or right. And there were a lot of learned Brahmin. That time, the king was supposed to take care of a lot of learned Brahmin. So there were a lot of learned Brahmin who also followed Yudhishthir and the entire Pandavas, right? So when they said they are supposed to go to jungle, they said even we'll accompany you. And at that time, the company of obviously a learned Brahmin was considered very, very, sacred, because they kept on giving a lot of information, gyan, knowledge, enlightenment to you for your day-to-day activities, for your governance, for a dharma of a king and whatever, right? So the main question was, Yudhishthir did not say, now I am in a difficult situation, kindly you all go. He never said that. His concern was, how do I feed this learned Brahmins? Because feeding a Brahmin is very important. It was a value of that time, right? And I cannot say them no, because it is a sin. So just see the importance of a knowledgeable. Now Brahman is what? He's a simple example, simply you can understand, a knowledgeable person, a scholar person. So imagine the respect and the importance a scholar person had, who carried knowledge with himself, who was storehouse of knowledge, because they knew that it was knowledge, it was gyan, which was the most important thing, right? So they could not deny him food, and neither can deny ki you do not come with me. So see the personality of the person called Yudhishthir and why he's so famous and why he's big. Because even in difficult time, he doesn't think that how do I eat? He was like, we'll manage, but I need to take care of the learned Brahmins. I need to take care of the scholarly people, because they are the storehouse of knowledge. They are themselves knowledge, right? So I need to take care of them. And so his concern was, how do I feed them in those 14 years, in which I think 13 years was forest and 1 year was Agyatwas, when no one could find them. So at least 13 years they had to feed. And there were a lot of people who would visit them. So his concern was, Atithi Devo Bhav. Logon ko khana khilana bahut basic requirement, a basic need. So that is something that he had to do. And for that, his Rishi says that you pray to Lord Surya. Lord Surya gives him an Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra is again symbolic for all of us. We all can make our own Akshay Patra. Yudhishthir's Akshay Patra was something jisme khana hamesha aata tha. For every day you had inexhaustible supply of food, only till the wife Draupadi had not eaten. Now this also has a very strong meaning. You should feed your guest first, you should feed the learned Brahmins first, and then you should eat. The moment you've eaten, it is exhausted, right? So Yudhishthir's Akshay Patra had inexhaustible food. You can all make your own Akshay Patra. We can have an inexhaustible supply of love, cooperation, helping others, in the time of crisis. All those people are going out and helping people. This is what they're creating their own Akshay Patra. If you can't create your own Akshay Patra, create a collective Akshay Patra. What we just read saw the video in Mahishasur, the team skills. Come together, make a collective Akshay Patra for the society. People need it. You can make collective Akshay Patra of knowledge. You go and you apne gyan ka knowledge ka daan dete hain. You sacrifice, you give daan, you give charity in the form of knowledge. That is also your Akshay Patra. You take care of elderly people. You work for some old age homes. That's also your own Akshay Patra. Build your own Akshay Patra. Understand what people need. And the moment you will extend the ambit of giving, the moment you will start taking others' problems together, your problems will vanish. That is the rule of law. Because then you will understand that there are a lot of bigger concerns in life. We are concerned about how to reach to college because it's raining. People have a concern that how will they sleep because their roof is gone. We have a concern that we don't want to eat the same food every day. There are concerns of people that if they don't eat today, this is the 5th day they'll die. So the moment you will increase your ambit, you will understand that you're truly blessed and everything you have to make yourself happy and you're in a position to give it back. The more you give, the more you understand the real situations outside, the plight of common people, and then you will understand how blessed you are. So to be happy, you also need to understand what all you already have in your Akshay Patra. There's so many supplies that your parents have already given you. There's so much of security that your parents have given in your Akshay Patra. What it is that you can give ahead, right? So this was the important thing, that even in difficulty, he never shied away. He knew that my responsibility was to be taken, and he requested for others, and that is how he also got. Lord Surya blessed him that you will have your kingdom at the end of the 14th year. So this is a very symbolic. When you ask for others, God always takes care of you, right? So this is basically increasing the ambit of your values, giving, charity, manushyaran, right? Thank you. So now we can go back to the last and the fourth video. Thank you, sir.
In Bhagavad Gita, there's a context when Arjun from Pandav's side and Duryodhan from Kaurav's approached to seek Lord Krishna's help for the impending Kurukshetra war. Though Duryodhan arrived early at Krishna's palace, still Arjun was given a chance to choose first. Do you know why? This small context in a grand epic is loaded with strategies for professional and personal accomplishments. The often heard terms in professional learning like individual positioning, establishing meaningful dialogue with the target, awareness of competitor's position, prudence in choice, attitude and humility of a seeker or learner are beautifully embedded in the three characters and their attitude. On reaching Krishna's palace, Duryodhan seated himself at the head of the couch where Krishna was resting, and Arjun arrived later and stood humbly at Krishna's feet. When Lord opened his eyes, he saw Arjun first, giving him the first chance to choose. This prudent act of Arjun resulted in proper physical positioning by standing near Lord's feet, and this led to a picture of humility, creating the apt mental positioning of Arjun in Krishna's mind. To establish a meaningful dialogue with our target, whether it's God, teacher, friend, employer, consumer, client, we need to strategize our positioning and create a positive mental image in the target's mind with the right attitude, choice, integrity, and empathy. Awareness of competitor's position is significant to apply the strategy of differentiation. Arjun chose not to stand next to Duryodhan, but at a different place for better visibility. After letting Arjun to choose first, Lord Krishna gave two options. One could have his massive army, the Narayani Sena, and the other could have Krishna as his counselor and charioteer. Arjun chose Krishna, while Duryodhan rejoiced at Arjun's foolishness and happily took Krishna's army. Who made a mindful choice is a historically known fact. So, it's essential to understand the value of the various choices in life. Some options might appear value-loaded but are short-lived, whereas some might look value-deficient to start with but is sustainable. Value scan of situation, choices and people has a crucial role in our success. We need to develop a discriminating eye to understand the subtle difference but noticeable impact between various options. Humility always wins the fight with arrogance. When we are a yachak or a seeker, we must have the modesty of a seeker or a learner. Disown the baggage of ego, as it resists our personal and professional growth.
fourth video, and it connects us back to the first thing that we started today in today's session, the importance of making choices. That value is a very important decision-making tool. So it's a very, very interesting, very small context in the entire Bhagavad Gita, but very, very relevant. There are lots of such contexts from where you can, obviously they had limitations of explaining everything to you. They could just put it in situation, and you need to understand the importance of making choice in life and the importance of values of humility. See, when the war became impossible to stop, and when it was decided that there will be a war fought between Kauravas and Pandavas, the first thing that they did was Arjun and Duryodhan from opposite camps approach Lord Krishna for their help. And the very first attitude of where you stand and how you stand changes the entire story. When Krishna was lying on the couch, Duryodhan comes and stands on his head. And Arjun comes later, and he sees that Duryodhan is already on the standing near the head. There are two things he must have thought. One, that he's a yachak, he's a seeker, he's a learner. He has come to ask for something. So a learner, a seeker, someone who is asking for something needs to have humility of a learner, of a seeker, right? So he goes and stands near the feet of the Lord. And in another way we can interpret it, that he was very prudent. He knew that when someone gets up, they do not see at the back of their head, they see in the front. So I need to be in his visible limit, right? He needs to see me first. So if he sees me first, I get the first chance to choose, right? So I'll be the first one to make an offer to him. So there are two things. There was a humility in the seeker, and there was also prudence in his positioning. So marketing people, you can understand positioning, importance of positioning, how you position yourself, how you position your product, how you position your advertisement. We teach these things to students. Students need to understand this, that when we tell you, that you should be active in LinkedIn, you should be participating in event, you must go out and participate in debates and technical events and sports culture. What we are suggesting you is, apart from your confidence and a sense of belief, you will be positioning yourself. People see you, people will notice you. That is how you position yourself in the market. So when you go and attend some sessions where HRs are there, you try to position yourself in the best possible way. So positioning is something very important in this world, in this professional world. So this is what we learn from how Arjun positioned himself. It was a very critical thing, right? He never knew what Duryodhan had come to ask for. Maybe he had this fear that, if Duryodhan takes away Krishna, what will I do? Another important thing is, when you're making your choice, you should know your strength and weakness. Your SWOT analysis, your understanding of self is most important thing. Self-introspection. Arjun knew that this war was difficult not because of arms and ammunitions and more skilled people. He knew that they were also skilled. This war was difficult because he was fighting with his own people. And there will be situations where he will not be in position to fight with them. He will have all kind of emotional blackouts. And so he needed Arjun Krishna to guide him. He needed a mentor, he needed a counselor. He had confidence on his skill. Duryodhan never understood this. He thought, I need force. I can fight this, I can win this fight with force, which he was mistaken, because he had apparently not done his SWOT analysis. This is what I can tell you in your language. So when you're making a choice, you should also be aware about what is your limitation, and you should fix up that limitation through your choice. You should not choose for something which you don't need, or which is not helping you fight that war, or which is not helping you achieve that target. So your humility as a seeker, your prudence in making a choice, your prudence in positioning yourself in front of your person from whom you're seeking or asking, your teacher, your employer, is very important. This is what we learn from this. Secondly, once they go, once they have made this choice, he was still happy. Duryodhan was happy for a long time that he's made the very correct choice, which is not a fact. Historically, we know who made the correct choice. So what comes out of the story is again the same thing. First, that we need to understand ourselves. Until unless you have not understood yourself, जब तक आपको अपनी SWOT analysis नहीं पता, you can't do anything about it, about the various choices. Secondly, you need to understand your values. When you're positioning yourself as a learner, what are the values of a learner? When you position yourself as a employer, what are the job seeker? What are the values you must carry, right? how you must not have false ego, right? When you're seeking something, you're in a position of begging, right? So you need to have a humility of a seeker. You need to have the humility of a learner. If you will not have that humility, probably will have to undergo this process again like Shweta Ketu, right? So these very small stories, but when you read them, there's lots and lots of value about the human values, about the positioning, about how you keep yourself in front of your target, whoever your target is, consumer, your employer, your teacher, your family, you're getting married, your would-be spouse, whoever the target is, how you position, what kind of values, किस type के attitude के साथ आप आते हैं, what kind of attitude you carry, all these things matter in the long run. This is what we see in Mahabharata, had this position, this small minute difference, that Duryodhan was at the feet and Arjun there would have sent a message to Arjun that Duryodhan was humble, and there was a picture of humility in Krishna's mind. And another choice, if Duryodhan would have chosen Krishna, the entire Mahabharata, the entire Bhagavad Gita would have been a different story. So just see, small choices have such big and small values, which we ignore, have such importance in the longer results. Yeah. So this was the whole 4 set of stories. I will request all those people here that they can keep watching for the videos. They can also share it with their students for the human values. We come up with such 3-4 minutes videos, bringing out more and more human value cases for our millennial, for our current crowd, for our students. And the basic line is the same, that we do not need to carve out separate sessions and heavily loaded sessions for human values, but we need to make it we need to blend it with our regular courses. And this is how, by putting through such examples, just 5 minutes and 7 minutes of such examples, we can include human values very, very seamlessly in any of the professional courses or degree courses, whatever courses we are doing. It can be very, very seamlessly taken care, and I can vouch for it that you will find the difference in the longer run. Thank you all the participants. I am really, really sorry for all the technical glitches that happened from my end. I think the rains I couldn't understand the problem it could create, and I felt it was not right. So I hope you could get maximum out of the session. And you can always reach back to us. The participants can always reach back to us for any suggestions you need, any more discussions you need on this session. So thank you, the entire team, organizing team, and a heartfelt thanks to all the members, the participants, for bearing up with this technical glitches during the session. Yes, Shelly ma'am, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Pooja ma'am. As usual, your session was wonderful, and I am able to see many compliments for your session. And because you narrated everything very, we can say very logically, and the process of the narration in that way, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So there are many compliments for you for your I want to say that for your every video as well as your session. So we are keeping 15 minutes for open interactive session. Those are present on MS Teams, so they can ask anything. We have students. So definitely it is very good opportunity for all of you. You can ask anything, because now it's a time for you. Fine, now because we have completed our innings, now it is a time for you. So if you are facing anything in day-to-day life, as the things are entirely different in this pandemic, so you can ask anything with ma'am. So ma'am is also a very good mentor as well as counselor for entire Excelsius Education Society. So if you have anything, you can ask openly. First year, you can write on chat. If you are not asking anything, I mean to say that you are not able to speak anything, so you can also write on chat. So we will forward your question to ma'am. Neha ma'am, Neha Khare ma'am. Neha madam.
Yes, madam.
Okay, ma'am. Because now I am not able to see on chats. If you are finding any questions, so please forward.
No, ma'am. No questions on chat.
Okay.
Okay, I think the session has left people with introspection, and that is the best thing, that you should introspect. We can always be available for open discussions, especially with our first year students. Is not at all a concern. We can always be back. But the whole idea of these sessions is that you should be in a position to reflect. You should be in a position to introspect. You should be in a position to now search more and more of such values within you, within other people, within the society. So the whole idea is that if I can put even 50% of the people in an introspecting and reflecting mood, I think we are, Shelly ma'am and her entire team has successfully done the 2 days session. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, Sheena ma'am, it's over to you. Sheena ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. It was an excellent session with lovely videos. And the way you related your entire storytelling, it was really, listening to it was a great benefit. And I'm sure our students will be able to, listen to it. And perhaps I think the 2 day session was very much a value addition to them. Why? Because they understood what basically human values are. It is very, we have been, brought up with all these things, sometimes to comprehend it and to understand it in a much, much better way. These kind of sessions are very, very important. And I think it is all going to benefit them to be a good decision makers and to upgrade their social skills and to be better human beings, because life is all about your interpersonal skills, right? The way you behave, the way you talk, the way you adjust in this world. So I take this opportunity to thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking so much of efforts with all the lovely videos and such a wonderful talk, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, ma'am. So all the participants, the students can keep watching People Inspires, because we will be coming up with lovely videos for you to understand more and more of it in association with Excelsior Education Society, and People Inspires is really doing a wonderful job. And we are coming up with more. We have a very good research team and we work on these stories and then we try to make it interesting for the current generation. So I request all of you to keep visiting our official site. Thank you.
Sure, madam, we will be. Thank you so much. And with this, I proceed to vote of thanks. And I take this privilege to extend my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of KC College of Engineering, Management Studies and Research. I sincerely thank all our eminent speakers, Dr. Meenu Mehta, Dr. Vanshana Singh, Prabhuji Gaurang Das, Dr. Pooja Rai Pradhan, our COO, and who all took their valuable time, and we really appreciate and thank you. It is admirable on the part of our dear chairperson, Dr. Harsh Khanna, for the tremendous support and encouraging guidance for the successful culmination of this inauguration and with this 2 days workshop. We convey our sincere thanks to the enterprising and efficient managing director, Dr. Sai Kiran Khanna, for his support. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to COO, Dr. Pooja Rai, our principal, Dr. Vilasnath Navre, our dear HOD, Dr. Shelly Oberoi, Vice Principal, Dr. Arundhati Chakrabarti, for their support and guidance. I take out my special thanks for Professor Deepak Kabale, Professor Swati Panvalkar, Professor Neha Khare, and System Administrator Patil Sir for all the technical support that has been given. And I thank all my dear staff and students for their active participation. Hope to see you all once again with a different agenda and a different theme. I wish you all a very safe stay and practice UHV in daily life and live our life to the fullest and to become a better human being. Thank you all. Thank you. Stay safe. Be blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheena Ulpesh ma'am. Thank you so much.
Before we leave, I just want to inform all the students that the link of feedback and your attendance is given, which is mandatory, and everybody has to fill it up. Please fill it up before you leave. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Sheena ma'am. Thank you so much. Neha ma'am. Thank you so much. Swati ma'am. Thank you so much. Deepak sir. Deepak Kabale sir. हाँ दीपक खबाले सर we will be 10 minutes more ठीक है दीपक खबाले सर you did everything very perfectly.
Issues and link.